and welcome to Accent Adventure. I'm Alice.
And I'm Neil. In today's episode, we're talking about Trump's tariffs. You've probably heard about tariffs in the news, especially during the US-China trade war. But what exactly are tariffs, and why are they important?
Good question, Neil. A tariff is a tax placed on goods imported from other countries. When a tariff is added, it makes those imported products more expensive. The idea is to protect local industries by encouraging people to buy locally made products.
Right. Here are some recent news headlines about tariffs. From BBC News, we have, Trump's tariffs hit China hard before, this time, it's ready. And from NBC News, we have, Trump says tariffs on the EU will be imposed, while a deal could be worked out with the UK.
Let's break it down step by step. In 2018, former US President Donald Trump introduced tariffs on Chinese products. These tariffs were part of a strategy to reduce the trade deficit with China and protect American businesses.
What's a trade deficit, Alice?
A trade deficit happens when a country buys more from another country than it sells. In this case, the US was importing a lot more from China than it was exporting. Trump believed that the US was losing out and that China had an unfair advantage in trade.
So, to fix this, he introduced tariffs on products like steel, electronics, and machinery from China. The goal was to make these products more expensive, so American companies would have a better chance to compete.
That sounds good for local businesses, right? But it's not so simple. Tariffs can have both positive and negative effects. On the one hand, they help industries in your own country. For example, steel and aluminum producers in the US saw an increase in business because foreign steel became more expensive.
But on the other hand, tariffs can hurt companies that need to buy imported products. For instance, if a car manufacturer in the US needs to buy steel to build cars, the higher price of steel will make their cars more expensive. That could reduce their sales.
Exactly. And it's not just companies that feel the impact. Consumers, the people who buy these products, also end up paying more.
Let's take a look at what happened with US tariffs on Chinese goods. According to a report from BBC News, things that could get more expensive for Americans under Trump tariffs, including cars, beer, Tennessee whiskey and tequila, houses, and so on.
And China didn't just sit back and accept these tariffs. They responded by placing their own tariffs on American goods. This is what's called a trade war.
Yes, a trade war happens when two or more countries keep adding tariffs on each other's products in response to trade policies. It's like a battle, but with taxes instead of weapons.
China's tariffs hit US farmers hard. They added taxes on American soybeans, pork, and other agricultural products. Many American farmers relied on selling their goods to China, so these tariffs were a big problem for them.
In fact, according to the New York Times, some farmers struggled to recover from the financial losses caused by these tariffs.
So, why did Trump think these tariffs were a good idea? His argument was that the US had been taken advantage of for many years. He believed that tariffs would force China to negotiate a better trade deal with the US.
Trump saw tariffs as a tool to create more fair trade that's more balanced between countries. But many experts disagreed.
Yes, some economists argued that tariffs hurt more than they help. A report from the Century Foundation mentioned that the tariffs, tensions, and fears of retaliation and a trade war are likely to cause many businesses to reduce their planned investments.
Let's talk about one group that really felt the impact: farmers. When China placed tariffs on American agricultural products, US farmers suddenly had fewer buyers. Some of them had to store their crops for months or sell at much lower prices.
The US government provided financial aid to help these farmers, but it wasn't enough for everyone. Some farms even went out of business. On the bright side, some American industries did experience growth because of the tariffs. Steel and aluminum production increased, and some companies were able to hire more workers.
But it's important to remember that tariffs are a balancing act. They can protect jobs in one sector but cost jobs in another.
That's why tariffs are such a controversial topic. Economists, politicians, and business owners all have different opinions on whether they are good or bad for the economy.
Let's summarize what we've learned today. First, tariffs are taxes on imported goods. They can help local industries but can also lead to higher prices for consumers.
Second, Trump's tariffs on Chinese and European goods were part of a larger trade strategy to protect American businesses and reduce the trade deficit.
And third, tariffs can lead to trade wars, which can hurt both countries involved. In this case, US farmers and consumers were some of the groups most affected.
So, what do you think about tariffs? Are they a useful tool to protect local industries, or do they do more harm than good?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave us a comment or send us a message.
That's it for today's episode of Accent Adventure, learning English from the news.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe for more episodes. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.